Diaries, Damsels, and Dastardly Deeds. Southern Shenanigans. By Winnie Reed. Chapter 1. Annie Jordan raced out of her house on Enroth Avenue without remembering to feed her cat. By the time she remembered Bogart, she was already halfway to town, thrown into a near panic by the phone call she'd received. He's got enough in his bowl to last him. She dismissed the cat from her mind, too rattled even to turn on the Camry's air conditioning, until a thin trickle of perspiration wandered down into her left eyebrow. It wasn't 8 in the morning, and the temperature was already in the 80s. It would be another hot August Monday. The memory of the call was fresh enough to make her hands tremble on the wheel. "Annie, there's been a break-in." She'd cradled the phone against her shoulder while pulling on her jeans. "Are you okay, Rosé? Were you there?" Rose Jackson had still been breathless. "No, I'm fine. I discovered it when I got in. But you should get here as soon as you can." Jeans on, Annie had thrust her feet into the first shoes she'd found and grabbed her purse. "On my way." Now she was, without having taken a moment to run a comb through her strawberry blonde hair. Not that it would do any good with this humidity anyway. She sped along Richardson toward the downtown area. Rose was rather flighty, but if the woman said there was a break-in, Annie had no reason to doubt her. Damn. When that didn't soothe her nerves, she cursed more vividly, glad the air was on and the car windows closed, as she let out every word she knew and maybe a few she invented. Her first official day, as owner of a new chapter 2. What rotten luck. It had been less than a week since she'd moved from New Jersey to Morrisville, North Carolina. A northern fish out of water in the south. It felt like weakness, the fact that she still needed GPS to get around the fairly small town, but there was no helping it. Time would change that. If there was a store left by the time she arrived, anyway. Rose hadn't shared any details over the phone. There hadn't been time. Annie barely slowed for stop signs, and gritted her teeth when she got stuck behind someone driving the speed limit. That would never fly in Jersey, where it seemed most drivers took the speed limit as a vague suggestion. At last, she pulled into a space near a new chapter positioned on South Scale Street in Morrisville's downtown area. Rose stood in front of the store, looking fretful while talking to a suited black man who at first glance Annie could tell was a detective, thanks to the grave expression he wore and the notepad on which he scribbled. Lyle Dodson, the store's other employee, interjected every once in a while, but for the most part stood in wide-eyed wonder. He was young.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?